Okay.
The damn email answered itself. It gave me, you know how it gives you options at the better is. So we off script now. We just doing it. Now we really just gonna have a
Now we on it.
conversation. Right. Now we can really have a conversation.
Welcome to another episode of Building Brilliance Book Club. I'm your host, Brian Wilson. We're doing something a little bit different. We're going to have a continued conversation targeted towards African American men, talking about estate planning. I have with me here today my guest, Sommer Miller of Sommer Miller Law. Sommer is an attorney and an accountant who I've known for many years. I've done many transactions for. She's here to share her wealth of knowledge in preparing men for estate sale planning. Sommer,
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me, Brian. I appreciate it.
thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, this is a topic that's near and dear to my heart.
It's
I
near
have
and
a
dear to my
father.
heart as
He's
well.
obviously black. So, and I have a lot of men in my life that I love, including my husband, 2 sons, and everything. So I'm happy to be a part of the conversation.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So, Sommer, talk to me from the top here. Why is this important?
Okay, why is it important? It's important for everybody,
Mm-hmm.
but specifically for our community. And I know what you're focused on doing in your podcast is building generational wealth.
Yes.
So, in order to build generational wealth, you have to make sure that your wealth passes to the next generation.
Mm.
So, there's a piece to that. You're going to teach them how to build it, to buy the real estate, to make
I
sure that
work
there's
with them from
something
the real
there.
estate perspective.
Right.
Yes.
But if they don't pass it to the next generation, there is no generational
There's no
wealth. It's just
generational
their
wealth.
own wealth that they had while they were living here.
Mm-hmm.
So the process of estate planning is making that plan to make sure that it actually passes and it actually creates generational wealth. Otherwise, it's just your wealth.
Got it. Got it. So now, explain a little deeper about how that transition benefits the not just the man that's creating the estate, but for the benefit of not and his children, the lineage that's affected by this as a result.
So, you know, when you're able to pass your wealth forward through assets, cash, and you're just able to make life easier for that next generation, that means that they're going to go farther and then your grandkids are going to go farther. So, in my business, we think about making each decision so that it impacts at least 3 generations forward. So, which means that you can make your grandchildren's life easier. And when we're talking about wealth, anything passed forward is wealth because most people in America function in a negative savings rate. So we don't have Americans in general. So we're not even talking about statistics for African Americans. So if you have accumulated anything, $100,000, $200,000 worth of assets, and you've passed that forward, then your children are one leg ahead of everybody else. That could be the difference about paying for college or not. Look at the climate that we're in, what's happening in the student loans and what's happening in the financial aid. That could be the difference between your child being able to have a down payment for their own home or your child being able to start a business or not start a business. So every little leg up that you're able to help them moving forward means that next generation is lifted out of poverty. We understand very clearly the impacts of poverty has on a child.
Yes.
We most of us knew it inherently, but now there's a lot of discussion about the impact that poverty has on a child living in poverty, whether it be advanced PTSD, whether it be not having access to health care, whether it be not having access to education. So when a child grows up in poverty, it profoundly impacts every aspect of their life. So, leaving somebody enough money to have a down payment on the house so your grandkids live in the right neighborhood. Leaving your child enough money to start their own business when 40 something percent of millionaires in this country became millionaires by being business owners. That's significant. The second fastest way to become a millionaire in this country is to own real estate. So when we keep saying leave your child enough money to own their own real estate, that's their path to wealth.
That's their path to
and
wealth.
So it doesn't have to be millions of dollars to impact their lives. But anything helps. And oftentimes we already have it. We just don't know that we have it. We have equity in our homes.
Right.
We have money in our 401ks and our retirement accounts, our pension accounts. We have savings. And the problem with the community, our community, is oftentimes we don't seek out the right advice. And so therefore, if it's not planned for properly, the kids don't get it.
Right. That's where we get lost at. We, especially the children, they usually find out after the fact that they've got property or land, after the person has already passed away. I'm dealing with a couple of clients right now that found out that they had property that they didn't know that they had access to. So they come to the realtor, and then I'm there to help walk them through the process as we've done
Right.
so many times before with other clients. Um, Talk to me about the prep portions that they need to look out for, the things that they should do now to start building uh, for that time.
Okay. So I'm going to back up a little bit and we're going to
Okay.
talk about the prep because you said something very key. You said oftentimes we've been in situations and we have where the kids didn't even know.
Right.
And so when the kids find out, they start looking for realtors and attorneys and so on and so forth. The danger in that situation, or the key point that people need to understand, is that situation where the children don't know and they're piecing it from behind is far more expensive to the family.
Mm.
So what happens if you have no plan? You are forced to go through probate.
Mm.
And the probate process in Pennsylvania right now,
Heavy.
and where we are, we're in
Heavy.
Pennsylvania and New Jersey. I'm licensed in both Pennsylvania and New Jersey. So the probate process in both of those states is time consuming and very expensive. So it's about a year-long process. It is, $10,000 to $15,000 in legal fees. It's also $2,000 to $3,000 in just court fees to the government.
Just
When
court fees.
and
on,
Brian
talk to me.
and Brian's giving that reaction because we've had a couple deals, and there are times when the kids don't have the money, and he'll talk to me and say, "Summer, the legal fee is too high," and I said, "Well, Brian, even if you don't want to pay me, I need $2,000 to get a court."
Right. Get in the court. And God forbid the decedent has passed away more than 21 years ago.
Oh, then we have to litigate.
That's a whole nother process. It's important, and I'm going to jump in and add to this. After they're going. You want to make sure you hold on to the most important document, which is death certificate, the will. If there's a will present, you definitely want to hold on to those documents and any other pertinent paperwork, bank statements. Right. If there is no will, about the process of becoming the administrator or the administratrix of the estate and how to handle that portion for your loved one.
Right. So yes, so those are some pertinent documents, and he's a little ahead of me, but we'll get to that.
I jumped I'm excited with this conversation.
That's okay. That's okay.
This is the topic that I've been trying to have. This is the conversation that I've been trying to have for the longest. It's something that I have talked on the phone about it. We've gone through transactions with it. So I'm excited that we've had an opportunity to bring this to the audience. Exactly. This is the conversation that I hope you stay around for.
Okay, so I'm going to break it down. So if you pass away as daddy, as the father, you have a home, you have a 401k, you have assets. There's a couple different things that'll happen. If you have nothing prepared, that is the process that Brian and I have found ourselves caught in with our clients. You have nothing prepared and you have multiple children. There are multiple people who have the legal right to move your assets through probate, and there are multiple people that have the legal right to approach the court and get a piece of everything that you've left. So part of the reason that this gets so expensive is because negotiating and trying to figure that out and getting the approval of all of the interested parties. So if you have multiple children, if you have multiple children across multiple relationships, if you have a spouse, but then you have children with a person that's not your spouse, which is very common in this day and age where, of blended families. Yes. and Brian and I are both in blended families. So we know how that is. So
like a smelting pot.
Yes. So that's very common. Then the chaos and the delay in the time of trying to coordinate all of those people to work together. So one of the things that can avoid that piece of it, and that adds expense and time to it, is having a will. So having a will allow you, while you are alive, kind of direct who's running the show and you're still going through probate. The downside of so that'll stop us from having to search for you will still your people that you love will still get their share, but the will let you tell just in plain language who's running the show.
It's
So
you still speaking.
Right, correct. So
Right.
whoever's going to be the executor, now Brian and I can just deal with that person. We don't need permission of everybody else that's involved in
Right.
your life to move forward with the process. We can get the house sold or get it to the person that you'd like to get it to, and so on and so forth. So that's what the will does. It directs the probate process, because oftentimes we can't even get the probate process started because it's expensive and we can't get everybody to agree if there's no will. So that's the benefit of a will. The next thing that you should consider, and what I'm telling basically everybody that they need, is some type of trust fund. If the property was placed into a trust fund, not only does the trust fund direct you who gets to run the show, but the trust fund lets you avoid probate altogether. So if the home is in a trust fund, your family members could come to myself and Brian, and if the trust fund directs that the home be sold, we can sell it in 90 days. If the trust fund directs that if the home is supposed to go to a certain family member, we can change the deed immediately into that family member's name. If the trust fund directs that you have someone that has the right to live in the house until they pass away, but it's not their house, upon their death, it goes to a different family member, then we can wait until that person passes away. And then when they pass away, we can sell the house in 90 days. That is a situation, let's say, if you're married to a person that is not the parent of your children. So you maybe want to provide them a place to live, but it may not be fair and equitable for them to keep the property. You'd want to make sure that your children have the property, or children had a benefit of the property. So we may want to place in the trust fund that your spouse may live in the property as long as they don't remarry.
They don't
remarry, right? That's the other thing, because you don't have any paperwork. Their new
out my house.
well,
Keep that out my house. I will turn over in my grave, damn it.
Well, if you don't have any paperwork, I can't stop that. There's nothing I can do. Once you pass away,
I will dig myself up. I just want you to know this.
And we're laughing about that, but that's a common situation.
That's a real situation.
That's a common situation.
Yeah.
And depending on your age, your spouse likely, and frankly, man is not meant to be alone. So, they are going to move on with their life. However, you don't necessarily want them moving on with their life and benefiting from the fruits of your relationship when you have children out there. So these are things.
People, are you listening to this? Is anybody taking notes right now? Is it just me?
So these are things that a trust fund, which would gives you more what we call after death control, are things that we can manage, and things that should be thought about, because that is the modern family, right? The modern family is not, we're all married to the first person that we loved in high school, and we had 3 kids together, and we stayed for 40 or 50 years. Right. We're not adept for those situations. But frankly, in terms of the remarriage thing, even if you are in that situation, you still don't want your wife marrying somebody else, and that person move into your house and
she's coming with me. She's coming with me.
And get a piece.
We're all going together.
And get a piece of your house, with and get a piece of what you've built in that nuclear family, and she'll take it into the next family. In both the state of Pennsylvania, in New Jersey, where I'm licensed, and probably in all 50 states, I can't say for sure because I'm not licensed in all 50 states, it is illegal to disinherit your spouse totally, but you can disinherit your children. So your spouse is entitled to something. And so if your spouse is not the parent of your children, you need to think very carefully and make sure that you have decided who gets what. Your spouse isn't entitled to everything. That's a myth. They're not entitled to everything. They're entitled to what you guys jointly put your name on 100%. But in this modern family, we often get married and there's already some assets somewhere. There is a retirement account. There's a home from the first relationship, or maybe you owned a home as a single person, because we're getting married so much older now. Right. If you're getting married in your trust, or they get a power of attorney that is too broad and they steal your property, or
Wow.
they run through your bank account, or so
Wow.
on and so forth. So I often, part of estate planning is when we do with your will and your trust, that functions when you pass away. Those months or years before you pass away, if you become incapacitated during that time,
Right.
if you pass away from one of those incidents, but that incident goes on for months or whatever before you actually pass away, that time can undo everything that we planned on the back end for your
Oh,
estate planning.
wow.
So
Oh.
we want to make sure we had a proper documents in place. If we have nothing in place, sometimes nothing just happens, right? People don't know your family has the option to go to court and become appointed your guardian. We're seeing that with Wendy
Ooh.
Williams. We see that with Britney Spears, so on and so forth. But and we also saw that caused a lot of problems, right?
Oh,
That caused a
wow.
lot of problems.
Wow.
If you sign a power of attorney, you decide who is going to run the show if something happens to you.